so much to Elyce and Alexandra for being here today for this special little presentation of Frances Valentine, the book, our friendship with Dillard's, and just how lucky we are to have both these women up here as businesswomen, moms, hard workers, and just thanking everybody here who's come, from our great host, from Austin from opening her house, my parents for really pulling it together, and just how much fun we're having here with this great weather here rather than up north and in Atlanta. So I'm going to turn it over to Alexandra, who is kind of a hometown hero, and then with the family, and then Elyce. Thank you, Elyce.
Thank you. Well, we're so excited to be here. First of all, thank you all for joining us. This is such a treat to have Elyce in person to talk about all of her amazing things she has going on, from Frances Valentine to her book. So I'm so glad that she's here. Jacksonville is a special place to me. This is where my husband is from. I haven't met many of you guys, but I have my sister-in-law here today, and my mother-in-law lives right down the street, so very excited to be here. This is one of Dillard's most premier stores here in Jacksonville at St. John's Town Center, but we do have 3 stores. So we have one in Orange Park and then also one at the Avenues, so plenty of different stores to service you guys. This collection is available at the St. John's store, and we are very, very honored to have Elyce's amazing product in our stores. Dillard's was founded by my grandfather in 1938, and I'm part of the 3rd generation now leading the company. One of the most exciting and rewarding things that we've done is added some fabulous new brands, and Elyce's incredible line, Frances Valentine, is absolutely one of those. All of her pieces are so beautiful and full of life and happiness, and they're always colorful and exciting and print-driven, and all of that brings so much beauty into our stores. And you know, Elyce is such a dynamic person, and I'm going to let her do most of the chatting, but I would love to start off by just kind of hearing a little bit about, why do you love color and print to the level that you do?
Well, our motto is wear what makes you happy. And one of my mantras is, nobody looks bad in pink. Like, pink is such a great color on everyone's skin tone. And I feel like when you wake up in the morning and you're dressed in the right thing, and you walk by the mirror and you're like, yeah, I feel good. You're going to feel good all day. And you probably have gotten 20 compliments on what you have on
Especially because I work through the airport.
Yes.
So I get lots of great stares, and people are like, where is she going?
Doesn't it just boost your mood?
I love it.
Yeah. And
I dress up
so good.
at all times. I don't change when I go to the airport and people look at me like I'm crazy, but I don't care.
Yeah.
It does make me feel good.
You feel unique, you feel great, and one of my things has always been, what we make has to be really good quality. And like the pieces that I could find when I was vintage shopping, they were beautifully made, handcrafted pieces, and I just adored them. I loved them. But as we all know, with vintage shopping, there's like a size 0 or a 2, and unless you're that size, you can't get them. So we're bringing those nostalgic pieces back to today in a range of sizes. Our sizes go from an extra small up to a 3X. And so a lot of people of different body shapes can wear them. And you can get that really great quality, but the main thing about it is wearing something that makes you feel confident and happy. And that's what Frances Valentine's all about.
It really is. I mean, the quality, too, is something that I love about these pieces. This is actually my favorite fabric. I think I have every dress that you've made in this, especially the green and white one that's outside. You guys have to check that one out. But if you look, too, the interior beauty on these garments, they're beautifully sewn. The linings are really high quality. Sometimes you buy something and then you turn it inside out and it's kind of, you know, got some threads hanging out. I think that your interior beauty is just magnificent.
Thank you. It's one of those things, and it might have even been someone from Dillard's, your group, who said, if you turn something inside out, Cheryl Bunch, I think her mother said, if you turn something inside out and it looks just as good on the inside as the outside, it's very well made.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that.
I love it. And I also love your label, too.
Thank you.
Tell us how that came to life.
Well, the name is something I get asked about all the time. And as many of you know, I was one of the founders of Kate Spade. We sold that business in 2006 and left the company completely in 2007. And we were moms for about 8 years and volunteering at our kids' schools, etc. And Katie and I, although we loved being full-time moms and getting involved in our schools, we both missed fashion. So we decided to get back into it, and we were trying to come up with a name for the company. And we had all these names of flowers that we loved because we love floral prints. And we couldn't use her name, obviously, because we had sold the name Kate Spade. So that's perfect.
Yeah, I love the Beach Boys.
It's okay.
I'm a DJ.
So we put a lot of different names on a piece of paper. And a couple of them were family names. One was Francis, and it was Katie's great-grandfather, grandfather, father, and brother's name. And Valentine was on her mother's side. We loved both of those so much that we added them together. It was Andy Spade's idea. And he said, why don't you create like your best friend and create that person who makes you laugh harder than anybody else and has great style and like your favorite aunt. And Frances Valentine was really who Katie and I were to each other. And that's really how the name came about.
So without giving, is my mic on? Without giving too much away, because you all have to read this book, I was so fortunate. Elyce has become a very dear friend of mine, and she gave me one of these copies of her book before it was released, and I couldn't put it down. I think I read it in like a few hours. It was that great. I don't think the world has any idea about the story behind you and Kate Spade and Katie, and reading those intimate details was so special and felt so real and so honest. And I just loved every bit about this book. So
Thank you.
Tell us, without giving everything away, some of the key features for you, some of the sort of big moments, you know, how you guys met maybe, and then how this sort of brilliant brand came to be.
Okay. You know, when I started writing it, I actually thought, it took me a while to get there just because it was a very emotional time. And I started working on it a couple years ago, and I thought it was going to be kind of sad to write it, just because of how Katie left us. But when I started working on all the stories and all the fun times we had, because we had so many great years together, I found myself at home at night working on it, starting to crack up. And I'd be laughing so hysterically, and my husband would say, what are you laughing about in your room by yourself? And I was like, oh my God, this time when Katie and I did this, or when we did that.
And you're both pranksters too.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So Katie and I met our freshman year of college at the University of Kansas. And we looked at each other on the first day. I had just gotten back from a trip to New York. I'm a Kansas farm girl, so you know, New York was sort of a dream to me. And I'd gone there with my mother shopping and come back, and I had purple parachute pants on and some pointy-toed leather boots, and it was very punk at the time. And show up for the first day of college in that, and Katie is wearing Weegian loafers, khaki shorts, and a popped polo shirt. And we looked at each other, we thought, there is no way we're ever going to be friends. But we shared a love for vintage shopping, for pranks, which we played on each other throughout our lives, and a love for Mary Tyler Moore. And thus the name of the book, We Might Just Make It After All, because we grew up watching the Mary Tyler Moore show. And Mary, at the time when we were growing up, was the first woman that I ever saw who didn't have a boyfriend or a fiance or a husband in her life. She was an independent woman, she was confident, she was good at her job, she was in journalism, and she had style, she had a great sense of humor, she had wonderful friends, but she was a real icon to me and so many in my generation, I think, because she was the first woman that we got to see go out and get a job on her own and make it in a man's world. And it made me feel as a young woman that I could go do that. And she is the reason that both Katie and I majored in journalism. You'll find out more in the book, our love for Mary, and a little brush with her later on within the book. But there are so many highs and lows, and a lot of them, you know, we were broke all through college. Once we moved to New York, even broker, and had 3 different jobs while we were trying to make it there. And after many years of working in the fashion business, it was Katie's idea to start a handbag company because she had been an editor at Mademoiselle magazine, and she was the accessories editor, and what she saw was a real void in the market. she had to pull handbags and scarves and jewelry for photo shoots, and she could find great scarves and great jewelry. But what she couldn't find were chic, simple bags for her shoots. She could find beautiful European bags that had a lot of hardware on them, or LL Bean canvas bags. But there wasn't a whole lot in between. And her idea was to create these geometric shapes and really create a beautiful, sleek bag. And she and Andy called me one night. I was working for Girbeau Jeans, and they said, you know, we always wanted to have a business in college together. We think it's time to do that. Will you join us? And I thought in my mind, I was like, okay, I really love my job. I'm traveling all over the country, but I really believe in this idea with them, and they're my two best friends. And I just think it's, you know, I'll jump off a cliff. I literally, I would give the advice to young people, take risks when you're young, because it's the time that you can make things happen. And I was able, because all I had to do every single month was pay my student loans and my rent. And that's it. So I wasn't responsible for a house plant or a dog or a husband or children. So it was lucky for me. And we made it all work. It just quit my job and worked out of their apartment for 2 years. And they had no air conditioning and a rickety hand-operated elevator that took us all the way up to the 5th floor of their loft. And after about 2 years there, we finally moved into an office. And it was quite a journey. It was a lot of scrappiness and you know, a lot of arguing all the time about kind of different ways to get the same thing done. But we made it work, and once we went to the Javits Center to our first accessory circuit show, of course we were stuck all the way in the back by the hot dog stand because it was our first show. And Katie was like, no, we're going to lose all of our money. And Barney's found us, and Charivari found us, and Intermix found us, which were really great specialty stores in New York at the time. And we made it work, and that's when everything started happening. I could keep talking for like an hour, as you know.
Actually was going to ask you, tell us about some other moments that were integral in your career where you really felt like big things happened, or you've got a little bit of a sigh of relief, like, wow, this is really happening.
So Katie was always glass half full, or glass half empty, and I was always glass half full. Every time we did something, she's like, we're going to lose all of our money. Oh my gosh, we're going to, you know, and I said, no, we're going to make it. This is going to happen. And, you know, I think the push and pull, her keeping me nervous about things and me calming her down all the time was really part of the friendship.
I'm the Katie.
Hang out with me.
Yeah.
But I think probably one of there were two that I can talk about right now. One was when Katie was nominated and won the CFDA award, excuse me, thank you, for the best accessory designer for Council of Fashion Designers of America. It was huge because after you win that, the press is all over you, and the internet wasn't a thing yet. So this was all about being in magazines and newspapers, etc. And our business changed overnight. International clients were coming into our shows and meeting with us and writing big orders. And you know, we were selling to Saks Fifth Avenue and Neiman's and you know all of the department stores at the time. And I think the second one was when Vogue came into our office to shoot the four of us. There were 4 partners in the business. And we were giddy that day. We were like, here are these kids from the Midwest who didn't know anything about anything. And we started this business with a lot of grit. And Vogue magazine is coming in to shoot us today. And it was really a dream come true. And Katie and Andy had just gotten married. And Katie said, you're going to wear my wedding jacket. So she loaned me her wedding jacket. It's
in the book.
It's right here. That's it. For the photo shoot. And we had our makeup done for the first time in our lives by a hair and makeup person. But so there were those times that really made it feel dreamlike, but it was real. And it was one of those pinch me moments when you just can't believe this is happening.
So working with friends, with partners, can be great. You've got the balance of the yin and yang and the personalities, but it can also be really challenging. Tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you guys faced and some of the hurdles you had to overcome, and how did you resolve those?
You know, the nice thing is our friendship was always the basis that held everything together. And so when we had conflicts, and honestly, we were together 24/7. So there wasn't a whole lot where we differed on, making a decision about something. At the beginning, we were all kind of arguing about how to get stuff done. But once we had a division of labor and everybody knew what their jobs were going to be, it really clicked. It really worked. I think it was the simple fact that we all believed in the same goal in the end and what we were doing. We meet constantly to make our plans. We meet weekly and monthly, and once the company really started to grow, we had a lot more managers and employees. But we would set these plans so we all knew the right direction we were going in. But there was a lot of mutual respect, and we kind of let each person run their part of the business. And it was growing so fast, you couldn't argue with anybody. It was just like, we have to get this stuff done, so we're on it.
Well, so much of what you're saying is the same way we operate within our family. We all have the exact same goal. People ask, how do you all work together? How does this happen? And we agreed, if you have the same goal and you really do want the same things, you figure it out, and we stay in our lanes as well. So I hear you on all of that. I think that's
And
very real.
you're all doing an amazing job as the next generation. Just
It's
incredible.
always hard to get excited though, because you know how many hurdles you have to still keep climbing. So.
Right.
I find that to be the difficult part about getting a compliment is you're like, but I know how much more we need to do. So let's talk about a little bit of what happened with the Kate Spade brand and what made you guys decide to sell that, and then what made you want to start a new brand together.
So we had been in business for about 7 years, and all of a sudden in 1998-99, there were a lot of investment firms buzzing around. They wanted to buy our company. And we weren't ready to sell yet. We were just going like this, and things were great. We're really happy with the business. The one issue with many of you who know who've had businesses before, when you're growing that fast, you need constant cash flow. And we didn't have any relationships with banks, and certainly, our personal credit as younger people wasn't established enough to be able to fund the business and sign on for it. So we really felt like we needed a business partner at the time. And then all of a sudden, our attorney was doing some work with the Neiman Marcus Group, the Smith family who owned Neiman Marcus. And they had made a decision to fund and support young brands that were doing really well at the Neiman Marcus stores. And we were one of them. So they invested in Laura Mercier Cosmetics, was their first one, and Kate Spade. They really wanted to buy part of our business. We wanted to keep majority, but they insisted on buying over 50%. So we kept a good chunk of it. But it was a very nice relationship for many years, and we got to still run the business. But at that time, we were able to take our names off of all of the leases and really feel some financial stability, for the first time in our lives, and have a really good partner to grow the business with. So once 7 years went by, that was sort of the end of the relationships. There was a put and call in our agreement. And Neiman's decided the Smith family was going to sell the brand. We didn't necessarily want to be sold with the whole brand to Texas Pacific Group, etc. So we made a deal with them to sell our company separately. And that's what we ended up doing with it. We sold the whole business to Liz Claiborne. My druthers would have been to buy it back. I think all of ours would have been. But at that point, we were so big that we couldn't afford to buy it back. So we had been there for 13 years. We felt really good about where we left the company with the DNA, and felt great about the new team who was coming in, and a lot of our staff was staying on. So we all were able to walk away after we sold the company. We stayed for 6 months for the transition, and I walked out the door thinking, yay, I can spend time with my kids, and it was really great. But once I dropped my kids off at school that September, I didn't have anywhere to go. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself, because I had never not worked a day in my life. And Katie and I both really felt that way, but we got involved in our children's schools. And as many of you know, once you get involved in the school, they really suck you in. I was in charge of a bunch of events, and then I became PA president for many years. And then on the board, I became the board chair for many years. So it was a wonderful experience for me personally, because it's something I hadn't done before. I really worked in a nonprofit and fundraising and all that. But we both really missed fashion, and that's when we started Frances Valentine.
And so many of the characteristics that existed within Kate Spade do reemerge to me within this line. Tell me about how you decided to weave that thread, and if that was really intentional or that's just kind of your love.
I think it's just, is and always has been our aesthetic. And at Kate Spade, when we owned it, we only made accessories. We never really made ready-to-wear. Katie never had an interest in doing it. She loved accessories. She loved designing handbags and shoes. And of course we had, tabletop and bedding and all those things. But those were, they felt more like accessories. And occasionally we'd make a poncho or a trench coat or something like that. And so when we started Frances Valentine, we started with accessories again. And we launched with shoes and handbags. And we were just getting started and just seeing some success. And when we launched in 2016, and we lost Katie in 2018. And one of the things that I felt really strongly about doing was creating something that was a tribute to her. I didn't want to make a handbag because she was the handbag designer. So I pulled out two of her favorite vintage pieces. That one was a caftan that she'd worn on every vacation we'd ever taken together. It's the peacock caftan that you see in our collection out there. Another was a vintage sweater that had embroidered flowers all over it, and we bought it thrifting decades before. So we remade those two things, and we called it the Love Katie collection, thinking it would just be one of those things that really felt good, that was part of Katie. And of course, they sold out in a number of days. So we reordered them, they sold out. We reordered, they sold out, kept reordering. People started asking for all of the pieces we were using in our campaigns, which were all the pieces, the vintage pieces that Katie and I had collected all through the years together. So we started making swing coats, and we started making cigarette pants, and we started making jackets and sweaters and tops, and all of that. It cut to 18 months later, we had a full apparel collection. And it's really lovely that for me to feel like she still had a hand in that, even though I think she always loved buying other designers' pieces, which is why she never wanted to do ready-to-wear. But my background was always ready-to-wear. And so to be able to create the whole apparel collection along with our footwear and our handbags and our jewelry, it's just been such a nice thing to have a full lifestyle brand that still feels aesthetically like we've always felt.
Wow. Okay, I have one more question, but I'm sure we have plenty of questions from the audience. So I don't want to take too much time, but please be preparing those thoughts, and we will come to you guys in just a minute. So one thing that I know is that you also, this love of color and this love of life also exudes itself in your own home. And I happened to see a beautiful home tour that she was on. Instagram fed it to me, of all things, but I was so mesmerized by it. And I love the sense of style in the South, and this house is a perfect example of the love of color and the layers that go into a beautiful home. Tell us about how your home and the way you live also feed into your level of love for your design and color.
That's a good question. So I think for me, your home should really reflect your personality and who you are as a person. My home, if you really look at the details, there's a lot of children's art, a lot of the ceramics that my three daughters made all through grade school. But I think it's fun to have high and low art, and I'll call theirs art low, but to have all of those pieces because it's personal and it feels good for me to have my children's things there in the house. I love really beautiful patterns and prints, and so I sprinkle those throughout my house because they make me happy, like wearing color does. I don't know if I could live in a beige house and be happy. I'd have to get red pillows or pink pillows and put all over the place. But I just think it's reflective of who you are. And we entertain a lot, so it's really a nice and easy place to bring people because it always feels festive and fun.
Well, thank you so much. This has been such a treat. I'm sure you guys have all enjoyed every single bit of every word you've said.
Thank you.
Elyce is amazing.
Thank you.
And every time I'm with her, I learn more and more.
Okay, may I just say something? Can we just give a round of applause for how great Alexandra looks in this outfit? It's just like,
It's beautiful.
you need to be a
It's
full-time
my favorite
model.
dress. It's my favorite.
And also, thank you to the Holland family and Austin for giving your home today and everything you all are doing. Thank you so much.
This
Really
is the
appreciate it.
perfect home. I mean, is it not just beautiful with all of your designs?
It is. It's really great.
So what questions do we have from the audience? Would anyone like to ask anything? While we have Elyce, don't be shy. I'm sure somebody has a thought.
I have a question.
Yes.
So because of your love for home decor, have you thought about a Frances Valentine home decor line?
I would love to do it. I would love to because I think our prints, and I'll tell you something about our prints. All of our prints are created by artists, so they're proprietary to us. Nobody else can use them, which is really nice. So we could send any of the prints, to someone. I think for us, because we're still a pretty small company, and we manufacture the apparel, the shoes, the bags, the jewelry, do everything with, you wouldn't believe a small number of people who get this stuff done. So I think for us it would probably be best to go with someone, a license of someone who does home products and give them our prints to make it so that we're not trying to sell wallpaper. But I'd love to because I think our prints really lend themselves to a lot of home textiles. It'd be amazing.
And I saw a question we had over here. Did you?
I was telling you about my daughter's young friend in New York, and what advice would you have for young girls that are wanting to start, that are entrepreneurial like yourself, like you and Katie, that are starting out?
Oh, I have so much advice because I give it to my daughters all the time who are that age. Well, number one, I think especially young people who want to become entrepreneurs, to go work for someone whose company you admire and products you admire. Learn every single thing you can from them, and because it's basically like getting paid for an education. Because if you can learn how to do every job, because you're going to have to do every job as an entrepreneur. You're going to have to know how to do the books and the design and all the good stuff and the ugly stuff, and you're going to have to do all of it and be willing to spend 24/7 doing it. I also, and I'm a hardcore about this, show up early. If you're working for them, be the first one there, be the one who leaves after your boss, and be willing to do anything. Because if you're that person, everybody's going to start depending on you, and you're going to show your worth to everyone in the whole company. That's a short
It's
answer.
really good advice. Because I do think in today's world, people's first question at a job interview is, what's the work-life balance here?
Yeah.
And
Or can I work
say
from
the same,
home?
yeah, can I work
Yeah.
from home? What hours are remote? And the reality is, and I'm sure almost everyone in this room feels the same way, in those early days where you don't have responsibility and you don't have the dog and you don't have all of the mortgage payments and you do need to grind. Mm-hmm. It is the best time to learn.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I love that. What other questions do we have? We'll take a couple more. No?
I would ask,
Yeah.
any ideas for men's or boys' wear?
We get asked about men's all the time. So men's bags would probably be the easiest thing for us because we had the Jack Spade collection and we can make men's bags. It's a matter of, do we put those on our Frances Valentine site? And who our end customer is going to be. Is it going to be a man buying for himself? Because he's probably not going to go to Frances Valentine. Or is it this group is going to buy it for their husbands or boyfriends or sons or whatever? So that's always the tricky part, is because then we have to have a separate means of distribution for the men's line. But we are making some samples. Just
So come to the sample sale.
I know.
There's a cultural icon happening here with generation Anne's generation. I don't know, just an accessible brand that we've loved and were inspired by when we didn't know fashion from anything. But now we have older kids. I happen to be a boy mom, and my son is obsessed with fashion. Like, he is on TikTok and on Instagram following the fits. I mean, it is like, and all I'm thinking is, there has to be something better out there than that, whatever this is coming up with. But he will pay so much of his own money for these designs that you're like, this is like off the rack. They're not like crafted. So I feel like it's just such a sweet spot as a mom to like want to foster this love of this cultural icon that shaped your own life to like move forward for them. So
How old is your son?
he's 17.
It sounds like he needs to get involved in the design world.
Works for free, so
Well, I'm happy to answer any personal questions. I'll sign books over in the corner over there, I think, if anybody would like a book signed, and continue shopping? Okay, all right, great.
Thank you all. Thank you, Elyce. And thank you to the Holland community. This house is absolutely amazing. Thank you.